Hey everyone, welcome. This is Jason Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. We are live on this Monday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Hope you got your green on. If you don't have your green on, I hope somebody pinched the heck out of you today, because it's you're just being a party pooper. If you're not wearing your green today, you're just being a party pooper, and you should get punished for that. Welcome. We're on 98.7 Walk by Faith Radio. We're on 1420 AM, 987radio.com. We're on our social media pages. And tonight is Taking Health to Church night. So I probably should apologize for saying that you should get pinched on the night that we're taking health to church. So that's not a very good Christian thing to say. But no, St. Patrick was a good guy. I've done some study on him in the past. I think I said this last year on the show. And he was a good guy. He was a really interesting person. Got kidnapped when he was 16 years old, and he's really from Great Britain, but he got kidnapped and got by some Irish raiders, and they took him to Ireland, and he finally escaped from them. And then he felt like the Lord told him, "You need to go back and be good to those people and teach them about me." And so that's what he did. He went back and did a bunch of good things for a lot of people. It seems like really worked hard to try to be good at showing the world, good things. So showing Christ. So I think overall it's good. He's a pretty good guy. It kind of is shocking when you think about that he got kidnapped when he was 16 years old and taken off to this island. Life is not equal. I learned that. I really, really learned it when Jacob was little, about 4 years old. Took him to the park, watched him play with other kids. I learned, life is not equal. There's a lot of crap that goes on out there in people's lives. And you may be one of those people that's really had to deal with some stuff, man. I mean, like maybe you really just had to deal with some stuff. And, you don't have to let that ruin your whole life. You can just say, hey, it's just part of my journey, and I'm gonna learn from it, and I'm just gonna try to do better with it. And St. Patrick is one of those guys to me that he shows us that we can do better. So I like that. I like that guy. I never met him, obviously. Don't know anything about him other than what I've read, and I'm not really that. I didn't really break it down that much, but seems like a good guy. So I wear my green. I got my green shirt on. Nobody could pinch me today, and we're here. So I had a great weekend with my brother, my sister, my niece. They all came, hung out with my mom and my family, and it was really good to see them. It was really good to hang out with them, visit with them. We had a great time, and I look forward to seeing them again soon. And otherwise, it was pretty chill weekend. So it's beautiful out there today, and the wind's gonna blow tomorrow, I guess. So we'll handle that when we get there. So, all right, let's get into it. First of all, just a little bit of preview about what's going on this week. I really want to get into the subluxation and what chiropractic is all about, because I know we have some new listeners, and it might be more fun to kind of go through this, live again and really see if we can get deep in the breaking down of what the subluxation is, because that word changed my life. And that reminds me, it's about this week. I don't know the exact day that I went to work, but it was pretty close to this week. 25 years ago, I went to work for my brother-in-law. He kind of tricked me, and he said, "Hey, I'm having a staff meeting. Why don't you come to the staff meeting and see? Just tell me what you think." So that's what I did. I went to the staff meeting, and then we went and had coffee or maybe lunch or something. And then the next day, we went and had lunch. And then the next day, he said, "We start at 7:30. You can come back and watch us and just give me your feedback." And I went back because I was trying to find a coaching job, and a football coaching job, because Coach Dykes had retired, and so I was hanging out doing nothing. So I just went to his office and watched him work. And then we went over and he offered me a job that I couldn't refuse. And I ended up taking it. And I took it for the wrong reasons, but it worked out right. And it was great. But I went to work in his office and I started learning what a subluxation was. And I've told you guys that before, but you guys that are new to the show, you might not have ever had chiropractic explained to you this way. And since tonight we're talking about truth, then I thought it would be really cool to talk about some of the things that I really believe are true when it comes to health. And I thought it would be really cool to get into the subluxation this week. So that's what we're going to start tomorrow night. We'll just see how it goes for this week, but we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. So what we got tonight is taking health to church. And if you're new to our show, we take the Sunday sermon from Hillside Church here in Lubbock, and we plagiarize it because it's legal to plagiarize in real life, right? So only in school do you get in trouble for that stuff. But we plagiarize it, and we don't really. We take their lesson that they learn because they're teaching people to live, right? They take the lesson that they learned at Hillside Church, that they taught at Hillside Church, and we apply it to what's going on in our daily lives. And I know you guys that are listeners every week, you know that, but for you guys that are new, that's what we do. So I just thought it would be super cool. I was like, hey, can I take the sermon that I heard yesterday at church and can I apply it to life and health on a Monday? And that's what this show is about. So our Monday night show is taking health to church. And they're fixing to start a new series. And it's called Audacious Claims. And so we just finished up the Cry Uncle series. And now they're going into a new series that's going to last for about 5 weeks about these audacious claims that have been made in the Bible. And that's going to take us all the way up to Easter. So I'm really looking forward to the new series, the new 5-week series. But they kind of they took a week this week to try to pre-frame and get our hearts ready and get our minds ready for what was coming over the next 5 weeks. And so Tommy Politz is the one that I listened to, and he did a really good job talking about truth. So we're going to try tonight, and we're going to see if we can take his sermon from yesterday when he talked about truth, and we're going to see if we can talk about some truths in health. Because, man, what a time we need some truth in health, I think. There's so many things that are going on. There's so many things that I see, like just scrolling through my phone. There's so many things that I see every day that are just really, it's like, I saw something today that, it was some cleanse or something, and it had to do with zucchini and carrots, and something else was in this cleanse. And it was like, if you take this will just clean you. This will clean you out, and it'll just be the best cleanse ever. And I just looked at that and I was like, that's really interesting. Like, who came up with that? I mean, I don't, there's a lot of things. So that's just an example, but there's a lot of things out there that I'm not real sure are true. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure they're not. But people can say whatever they want to, and then they can, just like this show, I can just say whatever I want to. Just post it on there and put it online, and whether it's true or it's not true, who knows, right? But how are you supposed to know? So I thought it'd be cool. We're just going to walk through it tonight. We're gonna get into some deep stuff tonight, and so let's get after it. If you got a question, if you have a text, send us a text, 806-794-0400. If you want to send me a message on social media, you can send it to me, and I'll try to keep an eye on this so that I can answer all of your texts. And I'm actually going to switch this, and you guys that are watching this or listening to us on the radio, you can go to the Walk by Faith Facebook page as well, and you can catch us. You can come to the Rock Health and Wellness Center's page and catch us as well. But this is where we're going to start right here. And so this is he's going to start Um, John 18:33 through 38. And this is Jesus has been captured, turned over to Pilate, and they're having a conversation. And Pilate and Jesus are having a conversation. So let's read through the whole thing first, and then let's come back and take it one verse at a time. But it's John 18:33 through 38. It says this. It says, Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus, is that your own idea? Jesus asked, or did others talk to you about me? Am I a Jew? Pilate replied. It was your people and your chief priest who handed you over to me. What is it you have done? Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jews. But now my kingdom is from another place. You are a king then, said Pilate. Jesus answered, you are right in saying I am a king. In fact, for this reason I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of the truth listens to me. What is truth? Pilate asked. With this, he went out again to the Jews and said, I find no basis for charge against him. Yeah, and so that's the end of it right there. So let's go back to the very beginning. It's really interesting, and I did some research because I just wanted to know about how old Pilate was when he took on Jesus during this time. And it says he's in like his early 30s, somewhere around 33, 34 years old, most likely, that Pilate is talking to Jesus. And I just can imagine, I can imagine, I could just imagine him being way over his head in what he was doing. And his government governor job or whatever he was doing, and like the arrogance that must have been going on with him, like you can see it when you listen to this exchange between Pilate and Jesus. And I just think how interesting is it that a young person like that had such a big role in what was happening. And I think about it from health. I think about me as a younger doctor, and then I think about me as an older doctor, and how much wisdom I've gained over the last 25 years of being in chiropractic, the last 20 years of having a license. And some of the, and I've blessed their hearts, I've got some patients that have stuck around with me for almost these whole 20 years of having a license. But I know when I got my license in February of 2005, graduated chiropractic school in February 2005, I was 34 years old. And so the day that I got my license, I was 34 years old. I was about the same age as Pilate. And it's just interesting to me to think about this exchange between the Son of God. Jesus is standing right there in front of you, and it doesn't matter what you say. There's nothing you can possibly say that is going to be mature. I mean, you're talking to Jesus. It's like you should just hush, right? But you've been forced into this position, and 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 you're the one that's going to have this exchange with Jesus. And it's like he said. So Pilate then walked back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Because now we got a problem, right? I mean, at least he knows of that. He's like, "Look, this is Rome, and you can't be a king. And we have a king, and you're not him. I know that. And so." What are you? What are you doing here? Why are you standing here in front of me? And Jesus says to him, is that your own idea? Or did others talk to you about me? And he's like, he's kind of smarted off to him. He's like, "Am I a Jew?" Pilate replied, "It was your people and your chief priests who handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" See, he doesn't have any idea. He doesn't have any idea what he is doing. What he is, the person that it's so interesting because of what he says at the end of this exchange. It's like, I don't even know who you are, dude. Like, what am I? Well, I'm not one of you. I don't listen to y'all's stuff. I don't pay attention to anything that y'all do. And why do I care about any of that stuff? And from a health and wellness standpoint, we face this type of exchange all the time. We face this exchange within our families. We face this exchange at our work. We face this exchange with. I face this exchange with the medical profession. I face this exchange with physical therapists and nurse practitioners and all this sort of thing. It's like they don't. We all act like we know what the other people do. They face the same thing for me, right? It's like we all act like we know what the other people do. I had a patient come in that last week that's had back surgery, and her surgeon told her when she had back surgery never to go to a chiropractor. Like never ever go to a chiropractor. And this girl's been suffering for years. And now today she came in and she's like, "This is the first time I've had any hope at all in years. I've been in constant pain for years. And I already felt better after one adjustment." So now she's just like, she has hope, right? And it's like that surgeon that told her that has is just like Pilate. I'm not saying I'm Jesus. I'm just saying, like, he's just as ignorant as Pilate is in this particular scenario. He acts like he knows the truth. He acts like he knows my business when really, in truth, he doesn't know anything about my business. So he should just say, "I don't really know anything about that. You could look into it if you like, but I don't really know anything about it." Because the truth is, he doesn't. Whatever he knows about, or whatever he thinks he knows about chiropractic, is wrong. It's not truthful, right? So we have these same scenarios all the time. We get into them with nutrition. We get into them with exercise. We get into them in so many different ways. And there's times, I will admit, there's times that I'm the pilot, and I'm talking to someone else that I really don't know anything about. And it's like, I should just hush. I should just say, "You know what? I don't know anything about that. I just know the things that I know about and the things that I study with health. I'm not going to crucify you, right? I'm not going to crucify you for your choice that you make if you go talk to someone else that studies something else from a health standpoint." But sometimes I I probably do that. I probably make someone feel like they've been crucified because of my ignorance and my immaturity. But I think about this scenario like that where he says, "Am I a Jew? Like, it was your people that turned you over to me. What do I know about all this, right? What did you do to those people?" And Jesus said, "Look, my kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jews. Like, if I was really a king of the earth, we would have a battle right now. We would be battling. My people would be battling. We would not, I wouldn't just volunteer to come along to this whole thing. But that's not where my kingdom is. My kingdom is in a different place." Now, you can imagine this 33-year-old kid, Pilate, listening to this guy that he doesn't know anything about start talking about something that he doesn't understand at all. Like, it's got to flip him out. Like, it's got to turn him off, I would think. And he's like, "I don't understand anything about your culture, and I also don't understand anything that you're saying right now. Like, you sound like a wacko to me." I would think Pilate would think that. He said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jews. But now my kingdom is from another place." "Well, you are a king then," said Pilate. "Yeah, he was being a smart aleck right there. Like he wasn't serious. Oh, so now you are a king, you crazy lunatic. Like, like what are you doing? What are you saying? Right? I can just imagine. I can imagine that he's completely lost. I mean, I don't know if y'all see it that way. If y'all see it the same way, like what a Pilate is way over his head. There's no way he can win. So he's got to be sarcastic. He's got to try to come off in this thing and be like, yeah. And so, and then Jesus says, "You're right in saying that I'm a king." Uh-oh. Now Pilate's got to be flipping out, right? In fact, for the reason I was born, um, in fact, for this reason I was born, and for this I came into the world to testify to the truth. Now that's great right there. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me. And I have found in my life, and I have found when I've talked to people about health, and you really talk to them about health, like you really sit down with them and you listen to what their problems are, and you go through their history, and then you tell them what health really is, it resonates as true. They almost always will say something like, I know that's already, like, I know that you're telling me the truth. Like, I already knew that it was true when you told it to me. I just never had anybody tell it to me that way before. When you explain to an anxious person how their right hemisphere is overactive and their left hemisphere is underactive and has lost its ability to inhibit, it, you, they see it. And then they say, when you tell them how their amygdala is firing, and then their amygdala is firing their adrenal glands, and their adrenal glands is releasing cortisol, and cortisol is breaking down their body and increasing their blood sugar, and it's causing them to gain weight, they just immediately are like, yes, I know. I can't lose this weight. I'm so stressed out and I keep gaining weight. And it's like, and I can't sleep and my digestion's all off. And you show them, this is how it works. That, like, whenever you fire your sympathetic nervous system, then you shut down your digestive system. Whenever you're in fight or flight, you shut down your reproductive system. And you know, it's so awesome because there's so many times a patient will come into the office and they don't understand what chiropractic is. So they don't understand which part they should tell you about what's going on with them. They don't know that oh, well, my periods are all out of whack and my hormones are just crazy and my testosterone's low or whatever, like whatever the thing that they might say, right? They don't know that when they're talking to a chiropractor, that's something that is like really a thing. Like, I don't, they're like, what do you want to know? Well, they think, well, I should just tell him the back pain stuff. I just, my back hurts, my neck hurts, right? Okay, how's your digestion? They're like, I don't even understand why you're asking me that question. You're not my digestion doctor, right? No, I'm not your digestion doctor. But what I'm trying to figure out is, where do you have interference in your nervous system, and how is your nervous system working? And that right there is a testimony to the truth. That, like, just like Jesus, like, why did he come into this world? I came into this world to testify to the truth. It's the way it is. I often say that in the first 6 days, God set the order of the universe, all of it, like all things, and then he rested. And what we want to do sometimes is we want to act like that wasn't set in order. And then Jesus came along, however many years after that, to testify to the truth, right? Like, he didn't rewrite the truth. He just came and to show us, look, this is the way. This is the way to do it. And in health, we want to think that there's a new way to do it. And it's like, no, there's not a new way to do it. And it's been going on for a long, long time. What we're doing is we're discovering more and more parts of what is true about health. We have more technology. We have the ability to do more research. We have lots of, now that we have the internet, we have global communication with each other. And that sometimes actually does help to learn from one another the things that are going on. But all we're doing is we're discovering the truth that's already there. That's what's so cool about the fundamental thing about chiropractic is that that innate intelligence thing, everything is catching up to that principle that I learned on the first day of chiropractic school. What I've been doing for the last 20 years is I've been seeing different pieces of that picture. I've never seen anything that contradicts it. And it's almost like you have a big giant wall that's covering a painting, and you got little pieces, little tiles or something that's covering up a painting, and you're just picking off one tile at a time, and what you're seeing is this truth that's sitting there right before you. And it's like that's what I've been doing. But the cool thing about it is that it was already there the whole time. I'm just discovering parts of it. Yeah. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me. And then Pilate says, "What is truth?" And then he just turns around and walks off. Or he says, "What is truth?" Looking at Jesus. Then he turns around and walks off. He turns around and walks off before Jesus has a chance to answer because he doesn't really want to know because he's being sarcastic. That was one. That was one verse that we got through in this first half of the show. We'll speed it up in the second half and really get into some deeper stuff. So you guys stick around with us. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, and we'll be right back right after these messages. Yeah, you could tell. You could tell by that exchange, and I'll wait before we keep going that until we get back on the radio for this, and then I'll speed it up and we'll get through all these slides. But um, you could tell by that exchange right there that a Pilot's a little punk, really, and he doesn't. He's not serious about this situation, and why would he be? Like he doesn't have to be serious about this situation. Like in all reality, he's in charge. He's the boss, and he's in charge. So what does he care? It's like he didn't have to. He's like, what do I care? Look, you are the one that's in trouble, and your people are the one that turned you over to me. So I'll just move along. But he does ask a really good question and about truth. So we'll get into it. We'll get into it a little bit more as we go on through the rest of the show. But I'll give us a second before we get there. If you guys have any questions, hey, Lewis, I hope you're doing good. And I hope you had a great weekend. And if anybody else, if you got any comments or concerns or questions, if you got any topics you'd like to talk about, if you got something in your life that's bothering you that you would like to talk about from a health standpoint, we can tie it into health. And so if you have any of those topics, you can send us a text, 806-794-0400, or you can send us a chat. I'll be glad to look into those things, let you know if it fits within what we're talking about health. Like those things that people don't know to talk about when they come to the car, like mental health problems, right? They really don't want to talk about mental health problems. They don't want to talk about anxiety and depression because they don't understand. People don't. They're really hesitant to talk about anxiety and depression. They don't care about talking about shoulder pain or back pain, but they don't want to talk about anxiety and depression. And the thing about anxiety and depression, it's neurology. It's just the same problems. It's just in a different area. Your lack of proper neurology is the reason that your shoulder hurt in the first place, most likely, or your low back hurt in the first place, most likely. So let me get us back. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. and we are talking about, we're taking health to church tonight, and we're talking about truth. So let's get on with it, because I spent a lot of time on that first part, just going over that exchange with Pilate. So in Deuteronomy 19:17, it says this: if a prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord, if what a prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord does not take place or come true, that is a message the Lord has not spoken. And that happens a lot. And sometimes it happens a lot not out of ill will or bad intentions, but mistakes. Sometimes people, including myself, sometimes we interpret things the wrong way, right? And sometimes we're saying them and we don't know that we're saying them wrong. We don't know that it's not true. Sometimes we're saying it and we definitely know that it's not true. And I've listened to people do that before, and I've told Leslie or whoever I was with after it was over with that that person's lying, and you can tell they're lying, and you know they're lying, and they don't believe that. They have no basis to say some of the things that they say when it comes to health. I know we can apply it to in a lot of other areas as well, but sometimes we do have to watch out for that concept right there. And what we do is if what we hear matches what we believe and it matches our reality, then we agree with it. But if what happens when what we hear doesn't match what we believe or our reality? And that's a big thing in health and wellness. As long as I say the things that you agree with or that match, as long as I say the things that match your reality, then you agree with me and you think I'm a good guy. But as soon as I say something that challenges your reality or goes against what you already know, then now it becomes really questionable. It's like wait a minute, I don't believe him. Like I don't know. And then all of a sudden you could turn off. You could turn off really quick to somebody when they're doing that. And health and wellness is full of those things. Like you're not supposed to drink milk. Right? Milk is a good drink for baby cows. Man, that'll challenge your belief system right up. I just threw my pencil up in there. I told you guys that. I was sitting in class and I just threw my pencil up in there and I was like, whatever. You're not supposed to drink milk. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, right? I was in that moment when what I was hearing didn't match my reality. Because I never heard anybody say that before. Now you fast forward 20 years later, and I'm like, yeah, like it's like milk is a good drink for baby cows. And you could go about Tylenol. You could say the same thing. You could say, yeah, Tylenol is bad for you. It's not good. You should stay away from Tylenol. And then someone will say, are you crazy? Like, what do you take for a headache? And I'm like, I don't take anything for a headache. Drink some water, get some sleep. But yeah, and so you see what I mean? Like there's a bunch of vaccines or like to flip people out like crazy. Even in the middle of this measles thing, it's like everybody wants to challenge it, and then it's like, whoa, if you say anything negative about that, then someone will turn you off, right? Well, sometimes you just have to be on the wrong side of history, because the wrong side of history is kind of a social construct, as we'll get into in just a second. The truth is the truth, regardless of what anybody else thinks. Whether we all think it together or we don't think it together, the truth is the truth. That's kind of the way that I see it. And who knows where it's like Abraham Lincoln said, I do the best I can. And if it turns out in the end that I'm wrong, or right, then what's said against me about me won't make any difference. And that's the way that's kind of the way we take this show and the way that we take this office and kind of what I've done in the last 20 years with my life. It's like, hey, if I get to the end and it turns out that I'm wrong, then 100 angels swearing that I'm right won't make a difference. But if it turns out that I'm right, what's said against me it won't matter, right? Because it's just right or it's wrong. It's either true or it's not true. And he got into some 3 different points when we face these moments, okay? Why did Pilate walk out before the answer after asking, what is the truth? Well, I think Pilate walked out because he was immature and over his head. But there are three points that the pastor made yesterday that we'll go through on the rest of these slides and just say. We declare there is no truth. And he got into Aristotle and the multiple theories of truth. And I'm not a historian on this, and I don't really know. I haven't gotten into epistemology and all that sort of thing to know all of these things. I can talk about them at a very shallow level, but he did walk through these different theories of truth, and I'll just share them with you. And he's like, look, he told the congregation yesterday, he's like, y'all are sharp people, so just follow me on this. And so I'll say the same thing to y'all, right? You're sharp people, so just follow me on this. The first one is the correspondence theory. And this is really hard to understand. It's like Aristotle, this is 348 to 322 BC. It says, to say of what is that it is, or of what is not that it is not, is true. I'm like, okay. But that's kind of what he was. I think I'm probably in that. I think that's the closest thing right there to the truth. It's like to say what is, if something is, you say that it is. Okay, this is a green shirt. All right? You say that this is a green shirt. That's the truth. Or if it is not, it's not a black shirt. And you say that it's not, that's true. Fair enough, plain and simple, right? But then we kind of moved on to the coherence theory of truth. We kind of moved from that black and white kind of situation to, or black and green in this situation, to the coherence theory of truth. And it says that the coherence theory of truth asserts that a belief or statement is true if it coheres or fits well within a system of other beliefs or propositions, rather than based on correspondence with an external reality. So now it's like, okay, it has to fit with all the other things that we think are true. And it's like, nah, like milk. Let's take that one. Milk is a good drink for baby cows, right? Now all of a sudden you're going to throw that out the window because you're going to be like, no, wait a minute. Like that doesn't fit. That's not coherent. It doesn't fit in coherence with anything else that we know. That must be false because it's you're saying something that doesn't really fit. People drink milk all the time. Like everybody drinks milk. Like milk's in everything. Like it's like milk's been around for centuries. Like what? Why are you saying that? Why are you saying that that's something? Why are you saying that milk is a good drink for baby cows? Right? That would be something that would fit into the coherence theory of truth. And then we get into the pragmatic theory of truth, which defines truth not as a static correspondence to reality, but as a function of its practical consequences, usefulness, and ability to guide action and inquiry. It's like now truth is fluid. And so it's like, and it's so funny because when I was listening to that, it defines truth not as a static correspondence to reality, but as a function of its practical consequences. Back in my coaching days when I used to coach, if you coach a kid how to play a technique, so I coached the defensive line at Tech for 3 years, for 2 years. I coached on defense for 3 years, but I coached the defensive line for the last 2 years. So I've got the nose guard and the tackle, the defensive tackle. So I got 2 kids that I'm coaching, and we're responsible for a gap. And so you teach that kid how to play that technique in that gap and exactly the way that he's supposed to step with his foot and punch with his arm and all the things that he's supposed to do to stay in that gap because that's his responsibility. But every once in a while, he will spin out of that gap, go into the gap behind him, and then chase down the defender, chase down the ball carrier and tackle him in the backfield. And then he'll look at you and he'll say, Coach, why are you mad at me? Like, I just tackled the guy for a loss. And it's really hard to switch your brain from the correspondence, from Aristotle's idea of truth to the pragmatic theory of truth, because what you're like, he's got a point. Like he really does have a point, and it's very useful and it's very practical, and that his ability to do that is great. And so what you do now is you split the truth. You go from your man, when we started this day, before that play started, I had a very black and white definition of how you were supposed to play this play. And then you made a play, and I'm thinking to myself, well, hey, if you can do that every time, but here's the thing, you have to tackle him in the backfield. If you're going to play it the way that you want to play it, then you have to tackle him in the backfield, because otherwise you're going to mess up our defense. And so it's like I've compromised my stance on the truth. I'm like, hey, go ahead, spin out of it, play it on the backside, but tackle him. But as soon as you don't do that, you're going to get in trouble for not doing it the way that I said it the first time. And in health, we do that all the time. In health, what we do in this particular case is we start to negotiate with ourselves. We start to negotiate with ourselves about whether or not we're drinking Cokes or we're not drinking Cokes. We start to negotiate with ourselves whether or not we're going to go to sleep when we're supposed to go to sleep, or if we're going to stay up for another hour looking at our phone. We negotiate with ourselves whether or not we're going to work out today or we're not going to work out today. Oh, it doesn't make any difference. My grandpa didn't work out. He just worked. I never seen my grandpa go to the gym. I never seen my grandpa lift weights or do any of that stuff. He lived long enough. Like, I never seen my other grandpa work out. They just worked in the garden. What do I need to go to the gym for? It's like all of a sudden, I'm just going to switch between one theory of truth and the other theory of truth and just kind of let myself off the hook right there. And then we get into this last theory, and this just goes wacko, and this is the postmodern theory of truth. And this, where truth is a relative and constructed by society rather than absolute and objective. So the postmodernists, they don't even have a truth. They just say it's a social construct, like a man is a man and a woman is a woman, except no, if they want to be a woman, they could be a woman, or if they want to be a man, they could be a man. It's whatever they want to be, right? 2 + 2 does not equal 4. 2 + 2 equals whatever you want it to equal. Like, why do we have to make it so concrete? Like it doesn't. It's like that's kind of what we're in now. Like, that truth is just getting pretty. It's getting pretty regular in our lives. This concept of truth, and so I wanted to share that slide with you, because it does make a difference in the Christian world a little bit further on down the road. Because the next thing we're going to do is absolute truth makes an absolute claim. Once you get into that beginning absolute truth, you're gonna have to make a claim. And in the Christian world, it's this: if God exists, then I'm not God. And I've said in rooms before, in book clubs that I was in, where the concept was each one of us are the creator of our own universe. Each one of us are our own gods, right? We're the ones that are creators of our universe. That's not a theory that's all that strange. I've heard that multiple times, but I did hear it in this group. And it's like, but in this particular case, absolute truth makes an absolute claim. If God exists, then I'm not God. If God sets the truth, then I have no say in the truth. Now that takes a deep level of surrender, right? Like, because that's hard to do. I want to have some say in what is the truth. I want to be able to, like, wait a minute. Like, I don't necessarily agree with these things that you're saying, and I want to have some say in the truth. And what the pastor was saying yesterday is that really it sets us up for a life that's different than what we were actually designed to have. if we believe that as Christian people. And he says this in John 14:6. Jesus answered, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Like Jesus was trying to tell us, look, I am the truth. He's the only one that's able to be able to ever say that. I'm the one that set the truth. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your God with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. Now, you want to do it your way. You want to do it your way, then you're your own God, right? That's you're setting yourself up for good luck to you on that deal. And it's so obvious how many times we do those things, right? We avoid the truth because now we want to start to avoid it. And there is a cost. It imposes itself on my morals. There's a cost to the real truth. When we have to get really deep into the real truth, there's a cost. It's the same thing with health. When we have to get into a really deep level of understanding of health, it's going to challenge some of the things that we already know, and it's going to be uncomfortable. We're not going to like it. We're not going to like the idea of giving up sugar. It's like there's no reason to give up sugar. So what? Like you're saying that we're supposed to give up sugar. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying sugar physiologically is bad for you. You can choose to do whatever you want to with it. I'm not trying to be God and set the order of things. I'm just showing you that physiologically, increased glucose decreases your immune system. Increased glucose causes your blood sugar to thicken, which causes lack of oxygen to your tissues. Increased glucose increases Alzheimer's. Increased glucose increases your arthritis. Increased glucose makes your immune system be set on tilt. It's just the truth. I didn't invent any of this stuff. That's one of the coolest things about chiropractic is I'm not authentic at all. The only authenticness I have is the interpretation and the presentation of chiropractic. That's if I have any authenticity, that's where it comes from. But the subject matter is already there, right? I'm not. I don't have to. I'm not the one that created all this. I'm just the one that got taught this and have observed this and am trying to teach the people that want to be healthier. If you're plenty healthy, what are you going to spend any time listening to me for? Like if you got it already figured out, then just go outside and go for a walk. Come back and eat your grass-fed meat and get some sleep tonight, right? But if you're trying to work on your health, maybe you want someone who is trying to tell as much of that truth as he can, and then you can see where it fits in your world, right? There's a cost. It imposes itself on my morals. And then it's this: absolute claim imposes total surrender. There you go. If we go back to that last slide, nope. Two of them. If God exists, then I'm not God, because that can't be. If God sets the truth, then I have no say in the truth. I'm not the one that determines the truth. So that means I have to surrender. And that's what the pastor was trying to make the point of yesterday. Absolute claim imposes total surrender. And this is where it gets really tricky because we can lose family over this. We can lose friends over this. We can walk out on it ourselves because it's difficult. Nah, I'm turning him off. I'm not listening to that stuff. He's talking about quitting sugar. That's foolish. I just turn it off, right? Or like if you're the weirdo now in your family and then your whole family comes and then you're going to have supper with them and you're just like, I'm not going to eat that stuff that you guys are eating. Now all of a sudden it's like, what are you being that way for? And that's what I did for my whole life. I didn't want to be that way. It's like, look, don't make any big deal out of it. Just eat the pizza and drink the Coke. Like, why are you being such a punk? Just have a cookie and don't make everybody else feel bad about having a cookie. And I did that. I did that for 50 years. And then one day I just decided I'm not having another cookie. And then It's like that creates family tension, right? You can lose friends over that stuff. What would it have cost Pilate to listen to Jesus? If Pilate would have been mature enough to even handle that conversation, what would it have cost him? If you watch whatever that show I've been watching, um, what's the name of that show that I've been watching? It's really cool. Um, but the whole story of Jesus, whatever that show is on Netflix, but there's the one of the Roman soldiers like completely flips. Like he completely flip. He listens to Jesus talk and he's like, dude, that dude's saying some truth right there. Like I never heard anybody speak like that before. And then all of a sudden he just converts. He hangs out with Peter and he's like, holy man, like he converts and he converts his house and his marriage gets better and his children get better. And Jesus saved one of his children. And it's like he saw the true Jesus and the healing power of Jesus and he converted. What would it have cost Pilate to do that? Like they would have changed the whole earth. Like it would have changed everything if he could have understood who he was talking to. It was too big. It was too big of a thing. And plus, I don't think Pilate he even had enough. I don't think he had enough maturity to do it anyway, right? So we abandon the pursuit of truth. So not only do we avoid the truth, but we abandon the pursuit of truth. It just gets too hard. It's just like, no, I can't do this anymore. This is too much, man. I'm out. I'm out, right? Because total surrender declares ultimate sovereignty, and we don't want the change. And that's a big one right there. And total surrender declared ultimate sovereignty. Someone has ultimate sovereignty, right? I'll move through these so that we can get through them before the end of the show. So the gospel truth begins with declaring absolute truth. This is where the pastor was trying to show us what we learn from the gospel truth is when we declare this absolute truth of what Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, right? That is the way that we get to the gospel truth of things, because this is the absolute truth. And there is an ultimate sovereignty that goes along with it. In John 8, 31 through 32, to the Jews who had believed him, Jesus said, if you hold to my teaching, you are really my disciples. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That's what I feel about with health. I just feel like there's so much of that right there. If you, not my disciples, not me as that way, like if you hold to the teachings of the truth of health, eat well, move well, think well, sleep well, be social. Number one thing, be social. You hold to those things, right? Movement is important. It's vital. It's a truth. Movement is vital. That's what we said last week. Move your feet. Move your feet. I had a question today. I got a little kid that's having some ADD problems in school. His teachers are saying that he doesn't pay attention. Move his feet. Move his feet. What's it going to do? Fire his brain. It's going to fire right side to left side. The left side is going to increase his dopamine. He's going to be able to have focused attention in the left hemisphere. Right? Those are things that are true. And if we would just stick to those instead of abandoning those things, and we would just stick to them, we'll just start to really notice. One of my guys that had the flu today asked me, "You didn't get sick?" I was like, "Nope. Lucky. Lucky so far. Haven't gotten sick." Like, man. But then aren't there a lot of, his wife said, aren't there a lot of sick people that come in here? I was like, yep. There's lots of sick people that come in here, but I hadn't gotten sick. I'm not going to that sugar level. I'm not going in that realm right there. There's two more slides right here. We'll be done with this. This is John 18:37, the end of it right here. And for this reason, I came into the world to testify to the truth. Jesus is trying to tell us about testifying to the truth. And what we're trying to do on this show is to testify to as much truth as we possibly can to health. And so I think if we stick to it, then we will finally get there. And that I left that on there right there. That was the last slide that was on this slide presentation that I used on Canva to build this thing. And it said, let us pray. And so you could pray your own way through this. You could pray that I had a patient, the pastor stopped and helped me pray for one of the ladies that was going through something in her life. You can find a time to pray. What does praying do? Just real quickly in 44 seconds, what does praying do? Praying activates the thankfulness and the language part of the left hemisphere of the brain. You're in a state of gratitude, and you're firing the language part because you're thinking about saying those words. Increasing that left hemisphere inhibits the right hemisphere from anxiety and depression and worry. And that overactive right hemisphere gets dampened by that left hemisphere and inhibited, like we talked about last week, and it takes that worry away from us neurologically. It's right in the spirit. It's true in the spirit. It's also true in the neurology. Hey, I hope you guys got something out of that. We'll be back tomorrow night at 6. Come join us.